In this video presentation, I shall discuss about the second chapter of the English textbook recommended by CBSE for the students of class 5. The title of the chapter is Gun with the Scooter. Now we shall discuss about the words which constitute the title. The first word is gun. We have to keep in mind that the word gun is the past participle form of the verb go. The second one, with, is a preposition. The third word of the title is the, and it is an article. The final word is scooter. We all know what a scooter is. For those who do not have an idea about the scooter, have to simply keep in mind that a scooter is a two-wheeler. That is, it is a vehicle having two wheels and it runs on petrol. Now we shall go into the text itself. It was a summer afternoon. So the story sets out in the afternoon and the season is summer. Gopi was sitting in the veranda reading a book. Gopi was sitting in the veranda. We all know what a veranda is. A veranda is an outer part of a building which usually has some kind of iron made fence in front of it, so that from the veranda you can look outside clearly. And sitting on the veranda, Gopi was reading a book. Suddenly he heard something rustling past and falling with a thud in the garden. So Gopi was absorbed in reading a book. Then something dramatic happens, and that dramatic thing is that something falls down in the garden, and the falling of that thing produces a third sound. A third is some kind of a thick sound which is also produced when a basket made of cane is placed on a surface which is concrete, that is, which is made up of cement and bricks. And before that third sound, there is some sound of rustling. Rustling is some kind of murmuring sound. Rustling basically occurs when some heavy things roll on dry leaves, and here also such a kind of thing happens. He wondered what it could be. So the sounds, both the sounds, the third sound as well as the rustling sound, made Gopi curious, and he thought as to what is that object which has produced these two sounds. He starts to imagine. Perhaps it was a mango falling from the tree. Gopi imagines that possibly a mango has fallen from the tree, and while hitting the surface which is covered with dry leaves, it has produced a rustling sound, and immediately after hitting the surface which is made up of soil, it has produced a third sound. Immediately Gopi put his book aside. Mere imagination, simple imagination cannot keep Gopi satisfied. He wants to be sure as to what is that object, what which has produced these two sounds. So Gopi thinks that I shall study later. I shall have to find out the cause of these two sounds. So he keeps his book aside. It's away. Gets up. He was obviously sitting. He gets up and runs into the garden. He moves quickly to the garden. He searched in between the thick grass near the garden fence. The garden had some kind of fence. A fence, as we all know, is a kind of gate, and that gate is made up of bamboo. And Gopi searched. Gopi tried to find out that object in the thick grass. The grass was thick, the grass was tall, and the grass was dense. He tried to find out, and that grass had grown near the fence of the garden. But he found nothing. Gopi did not find anything. So Gopi must have found something. There may be some small pebbles, maybe some other things, but none of those things, according to Gopi, was capable of producing the third sound as well as the rustling sound. He looked among the bushes, so he moved inside the garden. He looked among the bushes. Bushes are formed of plants which grow quite close to one another. Nothing was there again. Gopi could not find anything which had the power, which had the potentiality to produce those sounds. Then his eyes fell on a heap of dry leaves. So there is a change. All of a sudden Gopi notices some dry leaves. So I have already mentioned that dry leaves are capable of producing the rustling sound. There was a white ball on the heap that those dry leaves had created a heap. Heap means a pile, and there was a white ball on that pile of dried leaves. So Gopi realizes that these dried leaves have produced the rustling sound. Gopi reached out and took the ball in his hands. So Gopi stretched his hand, took the ball in his hand. Now there is the object which has produced so much curiosity in Gopi, and it was a hockey ball. We all know that balls are of different types. Balls may be made of leather, balls may be made of plastic, balls may be made of rubber, and in this case the ball which Gopi finds is the one which is associated with the game of hockey. Gopi wondered whose ball could this be. Now Gopi begins to think as to who is the real owner of this of this ball. He looked around. Gopi looked all around himself on all sides and peeped outside the gate. Gopi also looked outside the gate because it was quite possible that someone or some people might be playing hockey outside the garden, and in the course of their playing the game, the ball might have come inside the garden. But he could see no one. Gopi could not find anyone. So Gopi cannot find out who the real owner of the ball is. Just then he heard his mother calling Gopi. What are you doing out in the garden? It's very hot. Come inside. So Gopi was studying. Gopi was reading the book. His mother was busy. She might be sleeping, she might be doing some work. Now, Gopi's mother notices that Gopi is not in the veranda. She also notices that Gopi has come to the garden. That's why Gopi's mother asks him what he was doing in the garden. She also tells Gopi that it is very hot in the garden, so Gopi need not stay in the garden, rather he should come back from the garden to the inside the house where there is shade. So we have to keep in mind that Gopi's mother does not rebuke him for not studying, not reading the book. However, Gopi went inside and drank a glass of water. So Gopi goes inside the house. As the mother has told, it is very hot. So Gopi drinks a glass of water. He lay down on the mat and said to himself, I cannot keep this ball for myself. I will ask around. So Gopi lies down on a mat. We all know what a mat is. A mat is some kind of a bed which is made up of very thin some kind of tissues made out of or taken out of plants. So Gopi says to himself, decides that he will not keep this ball to himself. Rather, he will go and ask others whether they are the owners of this ball or not. So in the evening, so the sun has obviously gone down, the temperature has become obviously friendly. It is not so hostile as it was when Gopi discovered that ball. Gopi went to the nearby playground. Gopi goes to the playground, that is the field where everyone goes to play some kind of games which is very close to their house, where all his friends regularly gathered to play hockey. So the friends of Gopi went there every day to play hockey. So we have to keep in mind that the ball which Gopi has found is obviously a hockey ball. Friends, this afternoon I found a ball. Did any of you lose your ball recently? Gopi goes there. Gopi informs them that on that afternoon he has found out a ball, and he asks them if any one of them has lost his or her ball at that time. Manoj said, I lost a ball 4 months ago. Manoj informed or replied to the question of Gopi by saying that he lost a ball and it happened 4 months before. So Gopi has discovered the ball today. Gopi has heard the sound of the ball as it has fallen on the dry leaves. So the ball cannot come. So this ball cannot be the ball which Manoj lost 4 months before. Gopi said, so the ball that I found cannot be yours. So Gopi says that the ball which he has does not belong to Manoj. Ramani said, then the ball is mine. Ramani does not give any concrete evidence and simply tells that the ball is his. How do you know? Asks Gopi. What color is it? So Gopi is not a kind of boy who will give the ball to someone who does not possess it, to whom it does not belong. So Gopi asks him as to how can Ramani be sure that the ball which Gopi has found is actually his. That's why Gopi asks Ramani about the color of the ball. Show me the ball and I will tell you, said Ramani smilingly. Ramani is a wicked kind of boy, as we can see. So he tells Gopi, let me see the ball, then I shall tell about the color of the ball. So he clearly suggests that the ball does not belong to him. Another friend, Deepak boasted that his father had bought him a brand new football the previous day. Now, there is another boy in that field. His name is Deepak. He is also a friend of Gopi. He speaks proudly that his father gave him a brand new, a perfectly new football yesterday. Gopi answers that the ball I found is a hockey ball, that the ball he has found in the garden is the one which is used in playing hockey. So this ball also cannot belong to Deepak. Everyone laughed. Everyone found a cause to celebrate, to have some joy, because the ball does not belong to anyone. So they can easily play with the ball obviously. Gopi took out the ball from his pocket. Manoj grabbed it and tossed it over to Deepak. So Gopi took out the ball, got the ball out from his pocket. Manoj held it and he threw it to Deepak. Seeing this, Gopi said at the top of his voice, "Stop, I say stop, let's play before it gets dark." So Gopi sees that Manoj and Deepak are in a mood to make fun and not to play. So Gopi protests by saying loudly that they should stop doing these things, and he suggests that they should play with the ball before it becomes evening and quite dark. Manoj went to the goalpost as he liked to be a goalkeeper, so the game starts. Manoj acts as the goalkeeper. Gopi stood at the center of the field holding the hockey stick. So in the game of hockey which is played, there is a field, and like football there is a center line. Gopi goes to the center and he has a stick, of course a hockey stick, in his hand. He passed the ball to Deepak. With the stick, Gopi hits the ball. It goes to Deepak, who drove the ball towards Ramani. Deepak passes the ball to Ramani. Ramani dribbled the ball. Ramani takes the ball with the stick and moves it here and there, and it went to J. The ball goes to J. "Come on, J, play the shot, drive it towards the goalpost," Manoj said loudly. Manoj told J that hit the ball, targeting the goalpost. Try to score a goal. J tightened his wrist around the stick with the flat side touching the ball. So we all know that in a hockey stick, one side is flat and the other side is elevated. And J gathers all his strength in his wrist, in his hands, and touches the ball with the flat side of the hockey stick. He hit the ball so hard that it went past the playground gate and fell into the basket of a passing scooter. So J hit the ball with all force and the ball went past it, also crossed the gate of that playground and fell into the basket of a passing scooter, and the ball actually lands in the basket which is attached to a scooter and which is on the move. In this picture you can see that the scooterist has placed his knee, and just before his knee there is a basket, and in the basket you can find a white ball. The scooterist, who was unaware of what had happened, drove past. The person who was driving the scooter did not realize that a hockey ball has come from somewhere and has fallen or got into the basket of his scooter. So he moved on very quickly. He did not know what had happened. By the time the children ran to the gate, so the children did not want to get hold of to lose the ball so easily, so they ran towards the gate. The scooterist was gone. The scooter, as I have already told you, it runs on petrol, so it has a speed of its own, and it is very difficult to chase it down by simply running. As the scooter was gone, and so was the hockey ball, they looked at each other. Those children looked at one another and burst into laughter. They laughed loudly. So the ball was found, the ball was lost. In between they had some kind of fun in terms of verbal exchange, that is the speech, the words the children exchanged among them, as well as the game of hockey they played. So at some point of time, Gopi thought that it was his duty to hand over the ball to the real owner, and now the problem has become solved. I hope that I have been able to discuss all the intricacies of this very thought-provoking as well as interesting story. And with this note, I conclude the video. Thank you.